Good morning, traders. Today is Tuesday, April 26th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. Welcome, everyone. Happy to see you on this Tuesday morning. So what are we looking at here in the market? Well, I'm kind of coming into the day a little bit bearish today. Not terribly so, but a little bit bearish. And the reason is because we had that spike up at the end of the day yesterday. And that gave us hopes that perhaps the market was trying to break the downtrend. Okay, so we have the downtrend in value areas being lower on Friday and yesterday. So that is a downtrend in the market. So that spike up was sort of a signal that maybe the downtrend is actually over and we're going to start to get momentum to the upside. But because we are now opening below that spike, that is the least bullish of those scenarios. So that takes away that sort of bullish narrative in my mind. And when you take away that bullish narrative, everything else looks pretty bearish here. That was probably just a little short covering rally. And, the buyers will have to prove themselves to get back up there once again. Otherwise, I would think the momentum is still to the downside with the fact that value is lower. There's also just as I was discussing yesterday, there's just on the daily, let me just get on the right chart here. On the daily, we are re-entering a previous balance area over here. And that increases the odds that the market will want to head down towards the opposite end of that balance, looking for support there. So if we had dipped below yesterday into balance and then rejected straight out today, that would be bullish as a look below and fail into a balance area. But that is not what has happened here, right? We are now opening back inside that balance. So that increases the odds once again. It doesn't necessarily have to happen today, but that in the near future, we're going to head down towards those balance area lows. That would be the February and March lows. Depending on which chart you're looking at, ES or NQ. So yeah, to me, this is a little bit bearish and the bulls have to prove themselves to me this morning. So as we open below the spike, I'm looking to repair at least the first week reference. This week reference will automatically be repaired because we're going to open below it. So we'll get rid of that. But the next week reference we left behind yesterday is at 42.4550. So in my mind, the market will probably go down and repair that. And then we'll see what it does with this node of support right here. If that can hold and then new buyers start to push us higher, they can change my mind on the bearishness. But if that breaks, I think we're looking at a continuation lower. So the really important support to watch this morning is going to be right around that 42.35 level. As far as resistance to the upside, it'll be yesterday's high. If we can get back above yesterday's high, come back down and find support, that'll get me bullish for continuation to the upside. Otherwise, in between the two, we're likely to just get chop up and down, and we got to wait till we get a clearer signal. Okay. We are opening inside the previous day's range, which increases the odds of chop. But the overnight inventory is net short, so we would expect a little bit of a counter auction to the upside. So resistance at the base of the spike, 42.7550, and then up here at the high of the day, around the 42.90s. If the market can get through both of those, it'll get me bullish. But anything other than that, I remain neutral to bearish. And I do believe that this downside target, of course, we have to get the counter auction to the overnight activity and get the resistance, but I do think that this 42.45 level will be in play. If you have not yet, please smash that thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Also, if you don't, I'm going to make you walk the plank. So for those of you that are newer to the channel, what do you mean by chop, Charles? When you say that, what would I expect to see in the charts? What you would expect to see is the market to bounce up and down And, look for resistance, look for support. There's some support right here. So you'd expect the market to just kind of bounce around while it tries to figure out which way it's going to go. So, in a morning where we open inside the previous day's range like this, I'm usually sitting, step aside, relax, wait till I have more certainty about the market before I enter positions. Just because there's, a lot of risk that at any point it can just reverse and head right back up to the other end. Good morning, Diego and Scooball. Welcome to you guys. Nor Auto Trader in the house. Good to see you. Philip is here. MW, good morning to you. T-Bay, good to see you. Jose is here. T-Bay down trend since Asia open. That's interesting. Yeah, I would kind of see this as more rotational that just broke out at the end of the day. But yeah, I see that. MW, Algo makes Charles's pirate stream the first top video on my YouTube every day. For me, as soon as I open, I know the man is waiting to grow the audience too. But AI doing its job for the rest of us. Well, that's why, yeah, because you come here every day and you always push the like button. Of course, YouTube's going to show you because it knows you like it. And it wants to show you stuff you like. So you keep coming back. But the more of you that do that, the more it helps to show it to other people too. Amir, good morning to you. David Glass in the house, good to see you. Jocklo is here. Eldora, welcome back. Greg G is here. Hustler. Sorry, Greg H is here. Hustler forever. Good to see you. John is here. Welcome. Cyrus, Rev, Bossman. Good to see you. Caffeine is here. Jack, good morning to you. Dean, good to see you. Courtman, having a morning review of the NQ would make it more tempting to join the group. All you gotta do is ask, dude. I just always forget about the NQ because I don't trade it. All right, NQ. Also, value overlapping to lower. So same as ES, there is a downtrend in the market. You also got a spike up that closed inside the spike. So spike rules were in play this morning, and we opened below that spike. So same as ES, that is a sign that there isn't momentum to the upside, but that it is still in control to the downside. You're pushing into the support right now. The first major support, 13,353. There's a lot of support inside of yesterday's range, so it's not quite as clean of breaks as the ES. But I would say if you break 13,290, if you break this area, you're almost certainly going to take out the week low at 13,245, and then likely get continuation to the downside from there. So pretty much this major node that you got, oh, now the arrow's pointing right at it, that major node that you got right there, around those 13,300s, if that breaks, you're looking at further downside continuation. Until then, chop. Just grind up and down. Same as the ES. Got some price discovery that's going to take place this morning. Scooball says NQ is bearish more than ES. I wouldn't define it as being more bearish, but they are both slightly bearish. Jay Trader, good morning to you. Ronald, good to see you. Tuttle, ES is susceptible to short covering today. Won't short. Well, keep in mind, the way the auction process works, yes, you can get short covering, but we got short covering at the end of yesterday. So why wouldn't the people that were going to get squeezed out of their shorts have gotten squeezed out yesterday? Today is a separate day, so I would look at the auction process as being a separate thing. If we break these lows at like 230-ish, right? If we break this little node of support, there's no reason for anyone to cover their shorts. But there's tons of reasons for longs to liquidate, tons of reasons for new sellers to pile on. So it would be a great opportunity to be short the market if that support breaks. So yeah, I tend to think about it more like that. Take the auction process minute by minute and see what it's doing right now, because it could change and offer you a lot of opportunities. And they will probably be better opportunities to the short side today than the long, in my humble opinion. Trading Donkey, the number of people misusing AI is too damn high. I don't know what that means. Who's misusing AI? You mean misusing the term AI? Tom, good morning to you. Percy, good morning from Peru. Very cool. Pavel, good to see you. Been a minute. Scooball, the sell-off now is into support. ES is not doing that. I hear you. But we'll get there. Give it a chance. Jack marched low like a magnet on the NQ. I do agree. Both markets, like I said, once we re-entered this area that we had previously debated, so this is the NQ, we did our debate here. We balanced and balanced and balanced, and then we decided, no, we're good. We can go higher. So re-entering that increases the odds. We need to test those lows once again. So both markets are at risk of testing those February, March lows. Okay, so as we're pushing into support here, as we're pushing into this node of volume here, and we know that we're inside the previous day's range, so we're expecting chop. Now we can start to get insights as to what the market's going to do. Does it bounce off this support? And if so, does it find resistance at the halfback? That would be a signal it wants to go lower. Does it not find any support here and immediately push right through that? Again, a sign it wants to go lower. Or does it find support and then push right back up through this? Well, then that would be a little bit bullish to see, right? So this has given us a chance to get some real insights moving forward here today. You must be open to the market-generated information, and it'll tell you what they're thinking. Juan, good morning to you. Corbin, I take mulch from my neighbors. You're that guy. Trading Donkey misusing the term machine learning is not AI. I would have thought it is. OM, welcome from Spain. Good to have you. All right, so we are getting support here, but we're not getting much of a bounce. We got a low volume node right up here at 42.53.50. That's in need of some backfilling. And then we'll look for that resistance. If we don't get that backfill, that's a when what should happens doesn't. That's a little more bearish to see. Man, still haven't backfilled those. Okay, there you go. So now we're looking for resistance around 42.57, where the halfback and that node of volume is. Still got a weak reference in need of repair down here. All right, so now if we're going to get the resistance, the tick should pull back below the 0 line, leaving behind a little wick up there. This bounce would just be those overnight traders taking profits on their shorts. So do new sellers pile on? If they do, those ticks should get smacked back down just like that. So that is bearish, in my humble opinion. I'm looking to repair 42, 45.50, and then monitor for continuation lower from there. Gonzalo, what's the indicator that lets you know where support and resistance is at? Well, there's a bunch of them. I mean, that's the thing about market profile. There's a million different little nuances. But mainly, previous day high and lows and, weak references. So there you go, the repair of the weak reference. Weak references, often once they're repaired, that provides support. And then the ultimate best guide for support or resistance is the amount of volume that has traded previously at different levels, right? So like, why did we get resistance right in here today? Well, look where we got some yesterday. Where are we probably going to find some support today? Right where a lot of volume traded yesterday. That first bounce that came down and found support, found it right at that big node from yesterday. So generally just that wherever the most volume is traded in the past, you can assume that there's orders waiting in that area, at least for a little bounce, generally speaking. Okay, so now that they repaired that weak reference, that magnet is gone, and we are back in chop mode. Well, I know I'm late to respond to the skewball, but I think shorting halfback would have been a good move. at least to repair that weak reference below. Aviv, once again, charts this week reference from when? Always, I'm just referencing whatever, wherever the previous market was. Right now, it's like from back in March or whatever. That's where these nodes of volume would come from. And if the market, if the market fell, for example, let's just step back to the daily. If the market fell down into here, I would change my cumulative volume to start looking at this area here. If it fell down to here, I'd look at my cumulative volume for this area here, and so on and so forth. Just wherever the market has traded in the past at these levels. It doesn't matter when. It just matters how much volume traded at these levels the last time we were here. Obviously, I don't think this is going to happen. Rocky, Charles, good morning. What's wrong with yesterday's low? What's wrong with yesterday's low? Absolutely nothing. It's a good low. Watching the volume taper off like this is giving me a clue that we're probably going to get a lot more chop here this morning. So I'm definitely looking for support in this node of volume below for some more chop. Okay. Correct, Aviv. So like the way my software works, it has to load all the old days. So like I try to keep it as minimum as possible. So if the market is trending higher and we're like up in here, I might only have, 30 days worth of cumulative volume or whatever, right? Because that's all I need. I can see where all the volume traded at this level with only the last 30 days. And then it just makes it easier for the software to load in the morning. But if we sold off down here to where it was, 2 months ago, I'd have 60 days worth of cumulative volume there so that I could see what's trading in that area. And if it fell down to somewhere we were a year ago, I'd have 12 months of cumulative data, right? I just need to see wherever the volume traded at the previous level. If it doesn't affect your software to load all the data forever, then do that. You don't have to load it as you work your way lower. That's just the way I do it because of how this software works. Rocky, yeah, that was from yesterday. That was the weak L period low, which was weak because it was one tick from the H period high. That is what was in need of repair, and it got repaired, as is the highest statistical probability. There's another one still below us at 42.24, but we've got a huge amount of support above it. So that isn't really a target to me until we get through that support, just because we're still inside the previous day's range. So we may get support here and then chop some more before we can go down and repair that. So I'm just taking it one step at a time. David V, good to see you. Welcome. Scuball NQ is going to yesterday's low. Let's take a look. Oh, yeah. Poor low on the NQ. Okay, so now that's pretty bearish, right? You got a poor low right on top of a previous weak reference. So that tells me we're likely to get a push away because of the poor low, but that I can look for resistance to short to come back and repair it, and then monitor for continuation lower. Because like I said, if we break yesterday's low on the NQ, we're going down. We're going downtown. So in my humble opinion on the Q, resistance is sellable. And there's the repair of the poor low. Next stop, 13 to 40. 44, I mean. That's repaired. So yeah, now things are starting to get a little more bearish on the NQ, right? It's got value overlapping to lower. That is a little bit bearish. The initial balance is to the downside. That's a little bit bearish. We're breaking yesterday's low. That's bearish. We pushed right through the major support. That's bearish. So we are starting to stack up some bearish indicators here. Resistance is sellable. Same thing now on the ES. Create a little poor low, expect the push away, and then come back to repair it. Trading Donkey closed my leverage Doge short for a 100% gain. Man, I think if you'd have held out for another day or two, you'd get even better. Pablo, good morning to you. Okay, low is still poor here on the ES. Good call, T-Bay. Ticks are trending up. But can they keep them above that zero line? That is the question. Remember, we expect a push away from a poor low. That's expected. But the question is, what happens when they hit resistance? Do they come back down and repair it? Okay, so we're pushed into that resistance. Let's keep an eye on those ticks. All right, the buyers are holding here, so they're going to probably test the next resistance at the halfback. 42.54. Okay, so as the ticks get pushed back down below the zero line, that would tell us that this was just chop. It was just a bounce. and that the momentum is still on the side of the sellers. But if they can push it back up, if they can do this, then the buyers still stand a chance. Okay, there's that failure on the ticks we were looking for. So the next target to the downside is the repair of that poor low at 42.41, and then support just below it at 42.35 for continued chop. Okay, that is the repair of the poor low. We are now looking for support and continuation of the chop. Things get very, very messy if we break below 42.29. First targeting the weak reference at 42.24 and then monitoring for continuation lower from there. But like I said, I think we're going to have some grind before that happens. Some grind. Okay, NQ broke below yesterday's low, came back up, found resistance at yesterday's low. That is bearish for continuation to the downside. Okay, we're getting a little bit of a liquidation here. Some of those weak hands buyers from this morning getting squeezed. Once again, if we break through 42.29, I would look to a repair of the 42.2450 week reference to the downside. Just dancing right on that support. John, NQ testing yesterday's low. I think it already broke it, unless you're talking about including the overnight. Yeah, so yesterday's overnight lows, that is what it's testing. But it already broke yesterday's regular trading hours lows, which is bearish, right? It's a continuation of the downtrend. Value overlapping to lower. Now, fourth day in a row. Losing that last support. Not a good sign. So next support, I would say, for the NQ, it's going to be around 13,109. Okay, ES broke that major node, so I think the repair at 24 is the next target, and monitoring for continuation lower from there. Some bad news at 10 a.m. Just consumer confidence? Is that it? It was actually less, I think, than they expected. Okay, so now will support become resistance? Will this 30 area become resistance for continuation to the downside? We do have some low volume nodes that could use some backfilling up here. Obviously, if this is resistance, that would be more bearish, and when what should happens doesn't. Okay, there's the repair, the second week reference from yesterday. And we are now monitoring for continuation lower as the momentum is clearly in the favor of the sellers. John, aside from major market news, is there smaller news events that you look at weekly or daily that you think are important? Nope. Exactly the opposite. I try to avoid the news events. And the answer, the reason for that is very, very simple. Do news events affect the market? 100%. Is Charles good at knowing how the news is going to affect the market? No. Terrible at it. Like anytime I think like, oh, like the consumer index this morning, I don't know anything about that, but I would assume like lower number, that's bad or whatever. And then the market goes up and I lose money. So I'm just not good at using the news to make trades. Never have been. But what's cool is you don't actually need to know the news. Any reaction that the market is going to have to the news, you can see it happen in the charts in real time. And what's cool is the more time you spend trading and the more confident you become in understanding what the market is doing, when a news-driven event happens, your alarm bells start to go off in your mind. You start to say to yourself, like, wait a second, the market shouldn't be doing this. Why is this happening? And then you can go figure out, oh, it's this news thing. And then that gives you the confidence to take the trade as well. So you really only need the information that's in the charts. And that's all I use. Danielle, I sold my puts a bit early, was expecting a bounce to rebuy. You may still get that bounce. Like I said, we've got a low volume node up in here that would love to get backfilled and then resistance right above it. So you might get a chance. But if you can't, if this holds as resistance and the market continues lower, I mean, that's just even more bearish. In a when what should happens doesn't. Mark, is the POC very strong when only at 2 frames in? Absolutely not. The POC only really matters once the market goes rotational, which is a signal you can't get until, the C or D period. So in the morning, first thing, POC doesn't matter. There is no Ferris price yet. The market's still trying to figure out what it wants to do today. We're still in that speculation, chop mode right now. Obviously, the bears are winning, but it doesn't mean they'll win for the rest of the day. So Ferris price is not established. Charles loves MSNBC. Do you mean CNBC? Definitely not MSNBC. I figured that about you, Donkey. I just always assumed. Tesla's down 7%. Yikes. Why? Oh, boy. The heck is that about? Obviously something to do with Elon Musk, but... Or it could just be the breakout of balance. Look at that balance area. Corbin, is there a way you could keep the NQ on your window too? No, I mean, I like my setup. This is how I've been trading for years. I don't want to change it. But I would recommend, if you're learning market profile and you're an NQ trader, get your own market profile where you can watch the NQ all day. There are lots of places you could get it basically for free, for very cheap. You can sign up for a brokerage with AMP and just put like $100 in your account or whatever. And then you can get it through Sierra Charts. You can get it through a couple of the different, options that they have there. I think Quant Tower is another one. You can get it through a bunch of different places. But yeah, if you're going to be trading with market profile, you shouldn't be trading off of my chart. You should have your own chart and be trading off of that. Because learning to trade, as we've talked about at exhaustion on this channel in the past, it's developing a complex skill set. The way you develop a complex skill set is through repetition. So you want to be staring at the same chart all day, every day, week in, week out, and then 6 months later, you'll be good at using it. But you don't want to be, one day you're looking at this, another day you're looking at that, blah, blah, blah. Your brain can't form those connections to develop that complex skill. Train Donkey, yeah, of course. Where the F do you think that Twitter money coming from? Well, I just assumed it was like collateralized. I didn't think he would sell shares of Tesla to buy Twitter. I assumed that it was just collateral for a loan. But maybe that's what it is. It's fear that, like, if Twitter fails and I don't know, whatever. People are emotional. They do crazy things. All right, so leaving behind these single prints in the B period increases the odds that the market's going to push back up to 42.41 and look for resistance there. That would make sense as we still have that low volume node in need of backfilling. And if they don't, it's a when what should happens doesn't. That's even more potent now. And with that, I shall bid you all farewell, au revoir. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Where is that banner? There we go. If you're not a member of the brigade, just think about it as an option. It costs $10 a month, and you get to listen to me talk like this all day, every day. And just ask yourself, $10 is less than a single point on the ES. Do you think that within a month, within 30 days, I might say one thing that could help you make a point? Do you think I might say one thing that would stop you from getting in a trade where you might lose a point? If that's the case, then it is just completely risk-free to pay the $10 to hear my insights. So I highly encourage you to join. There's a link in the description. And yeah, we'd love to have you. Otherwise, we shall see you here tomorrow morning. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Bye-bye.